everyone, and welcome to Dragon Talk. I'm Greg Tito, and I am back from vacation and joined by Shelly Moo.
Hello.
How's it going?
Great. Welcome back.
It's Shelly Mads and Noble. I say Shelly Moo
I know,
a lot.
it's easier to say
It's an
Shelly
easy,
Moo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It's like who you are.
It's like who I am.
That's right.
Yes. According to my mom, it is who I am. She calls me Moo Moo.
And that's how it's been for your entire
My
life?
whole entire life.
That's amazing.
It is. You know how many cow trinkets I have?
Are you like a cow collector?
No, but I guess I am because my mom constantly buys me cow stuff. She gave me the nickname and then was like, you're all in now, kid.
Go with it.
Yep.
Well, that's fantastic because I don't have any tie-in to milk or moo or cows to say right now. Damn it, I'm usually got a segue like on the tip of my tongue, and I got nothing.
A cool, refreshing glass of milk. You're back from vacation.
While you're vacationing. That's what you do, right?
Yeah. Did you see any cows on vacation?
No, but we did pass an alpaca farm.
I love the alpacas.
Which is pretty cool. There used to be an alpaca we knew in Durham. We used to go to this.
That you knew?
Yeah, because it was like a
alpaca
petting zoo that we would frequent with the kids.
Did you have one in particular that was like your alpaca?
Her name was Retro.
Oh,
and she had
that's
like
a good
a
name.
little brown puffball of hair on her head, and I was like, oh, it's Retro. Really loved her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, now, what island were you on?
We were on the actual San Juan Island. Yeah. It's the most westernmost island. It's biggest. It's actually very close to Victoria, where the city in British Columbia there in Victoria. Yeah, that we saw it across the way. That was like our view was looking at Victoria.
I've got to look at a map once in a while.
Yeah, it snowed like crazy.
So I wonder if I went to the San Juan Islands and there was an alpaca farm. Mm-hmm. There probably is more than one, maybe on all
No,
of these
probably not.
different
It's not that
islands?
big of an island.
But maybe it was a different island. I don't
Could've
remember
been.
which island I was on, but my friend and I fell in love with the alpacas, and one in particular because she looked like she was smiling, and she had these legs that we started calling her lady legs because she just looked like lady legs. Like she just had like human female legs.
Like a Christmas story, like lamp legs?
Yeah, it was just in like this little smile, and she was, I'll show you a picture of lady legs one day.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really cute.
I love it. There is something about alpacas.
They're
they
just
feel so
cute.
natural, and that's why I like to imbue those characteristics with all the owlbears that we play with, all of the griffins or other
I don't want to fight
fantastical
an alpaca.
creature. No, they will mess you up.
But I also think they're too cute. I wouldn't fight one.
You'd want to like hug them.
I do want to hug them.
They're so fluffy.
Oh my God, so much. And they do look like they're smiling. And I do think I have a picture of lady legs. I'm gonna
Really?
find it. I think.
Do you have it all ready to go?
No, I'm gonna find it.
Nice.
So why do you tell us what's going on?
Oh
in
yeah,
the
that's a
D&D
good idea.
world?
That's a great idea. All right, so we've got lots of Dungeons and Dragons happenings going on. It is exciting because there is Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. That is a new release coming out May 29th in the wide release with a cover by Jason Rainville, as well as it will be out on May 18th in your local game store with a special edition cover. You can also get the regular cover on May 18th. But the new cover is by Vance Kelly, and it's a totally different feel for the alternate covers than we've done in the past. I love it. It's got blues and golds. In fact, we use a lot of it now in our Twitch and Twitter and all those things because we loved that imagery so much. It's chock full of new monsters as well as lore on the conflicts of the multiverse. So Mordenkainen comes in and just lets us know all about things going on between Gith and Githyanki and demons and devils and elves and drow, all that fun stuff. Oh, and
Look at
that
those
is
legs. I mean, they're like kneecaps and everything.
those are some pretty cute lady legs for an alpaca. Yeah, I love it. Like, dude, she does look like she's got kneecaps.
She's got lady legs.
I love it.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all coming. We'll be talking more and more about Tome of Foes in the next few months leading up to the release. Lots of fun stuff going on there.
Wait.
We also just recently announced a new mobile game is coming from Ludia called Warriors of Waterdeep.
So we've just announced this?
It was actually first announced at New York Toy Fair, or like a week before New York Toy Fair. Chris Cox, president of Wizards of the Coast, mentioned it, as well as something else that listeners may want to hear about from Miss Shelly Moo.
Yes. There's a new game coming.
What's it called?
Axis and Allies. and zombies.
What?
It's happening.
So there's 3 factions?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, you know.
I do know. I'm just shooting up. We've been playtesting in a game right now that the zombies have won.
I was going to say, you know what happened.
Yeah.
We lost.
Yes.
The world lost.
What I like about this version of the game too is it's Axis and Allies is about World War II, and zombies are introduced in this specific
an
version.
Alternative history edition.
Exactly, but it's way faster. It plays way faster because if you get up to a certain point, the zombies win, and then it just becomes a land grab to get as much stuff as you can.
Right.
Right. So
and it's just crazy.
I've known people. I mean, back when I was in school, I played Axis and Allies for 6, 7, 8 hours, to complete it. And I feel like with this game, it's going to happen a lot sooner.
So we did try to design this game to be played in like a 2 to 3 hour time period. If you're an experienced player,
right?
If you're still learning, it's going to take a little longer. But that's
but
what I haven't played much Axis and Allies but I have. Obviously, since working on Avalon Hill and playing this version, I realized, well, now all the stuff that I thought I knew from Axis and Allies is out the window. Like every strategy that I thought was how you would win in Axis and Allies, you can't really use those strategies in this one.
Yes.
It's crazy.
That's very true.
Yeah.
You basically, you can't be as aggressive.
No.
Because if you are aggressive, can I talk about specific rules? Is that okay?
I think so.
Let's do it. Well, because every time one of your infantry dies in Axis and Allies and zombies, it turns into a zombie.
Yes.
So you have to be very conservative about, hey, I'm going to go in with 10 infantry.
Right.
Well, guess what? Half of those
be zombies.
You may end up being zombies, and you'll have that problem to contend with.
And you're going to lose your territory. You could lose your territory to zombies.
Very easily.
Yeah,
exactly. So it totally changes up your strategy, and it's fun.
And they're not controlled by anyone. So sometimes just by luck they do work to your advantage, but it's not because you controlled them.
Yeah.
They are an uncontrolled faction.
Right. They basically have something you have to contend with and maybe use to your advantage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And planes can't get attacked by zombies, but planes can attack zombies. That's one strategy I need to learn more.
Right.
Is like,
I know, I didn't, because I kept buying tanks.
I know.
Thinking that, anyway.
Yeah.
There's even new rules since we started playtesting that you don't even know yet.
I know. I don't want to give anything away. But yeah, we'll talk about it more.
That's really good.
Because when's it coming out?
October.
Yeah. Of 2018.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Right around the corner.
Not like 2020. Not like 2021.
If it were up to the designers, it would be 2020.
Just keep
but
iterating.
At some point, I'm going to take that rulebook from them.
Well, we have a really exciting guest. His name is Mario Ortega. I totally did it wrong. Also known as Warius.
Maybe he'll just tell us.
He has been streaming for a long time. We're going to get to him in just a second, but first we want to talk about this amazing lore segment that you might want to listen to right about now. Bing bong.
Bing bong.
I don't feel like I got all of the news out there.
No, that
but
was
that's
a
all I
quick
really needed.
news.
Yeah, it's,
Well, you got 2 things.
I got the big ones.
Ludio.
This one actually isn't going out until March 22nd, so I didn't want to be like, because there's some stuff on here that's like now until February 27th, so I don't want to go too cray-cray with that. We'll do that more when it's just Twitch folks. You know what I'm saying? You ready for the mid-tro there, Ryan?
I'm so ready.
So ready.
He was born ready.
All right. I feel like I know. Oh man, I should have checked whether that was going to be a sage advice or a Lori should know.
I already checked. It's not listed.
Oh.
Look at Ryan
Thanks, buddy.
knowing stuff.
But we're recording a sage advice today, so I think it might be. I don't know. We'll see. That was a really good.
That was a really good segment.
I feel like I know so much more about what it was we just listened to.
I do too. That was very informative.
There's like bombs exploding in my mind about how amazing that was.
Again, can't wait for my next dinner party. Drop in the nuggets.
Drop in the nuggets about zombies and or other things that are happening.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, great. Thanks. Great conversation. Good talk.
It's a good starter. It's a good conversation starter. Awesome. Well, let's call up our guest, Mario Ortegon. Ortegon. I did it wrong again. Are you there?
I'm here. That was perfect.
Okay. Sweet. But as you said, more people might know you as Warius. Where did you get that nickname?
That was the name of my first D&D character, actually.
Really?
Like, a long time ago, yeah.
When was that?
Probably around 2000, the year 2000, maybe.
Crazy. What was that character?
It was a human wizard. Back then, I was using the handle Wario because my name is Mario. I was, being clever. Later, I learned that there was a character named
Yes.
Wario, but whatever. And
I played him a lot in Mario Kart.
yeah. And my DM said your D&D name can't be Wario. That's ridiculous. I said that I'm gonna be Wario's, and yeah, that's the story.
That's
Very
how
simple.
most fantasy names get made, right? Where they're like,
Your DM says,
not so much, and then
No, I
you
have
come
to
up with
know.
something else.
what if we
Yeah,
all
yeah.
had to go by our first D&D character's name? What would your name be?
Oh,
Todd.
yeah.
Ryan, he would be Todd.
Todd. His name was Todd Hedron. It's true.
Oh,
yeah.
your character
Yeah.
was Todd?
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't remember? Clearly,
I
Ryan.
remember because it was so terrible.
Your name was Todd? Your D&D character?
It was Todd Hedron, number
His
one.
first name?
And and then they called him Toad because he was a half elf in a human settlement. So
How old were you?
This was in my 20s.
Oh.
This was after Warius. It was 2004, 2003. And it wasn't my
Yeah, so-
first character. It was the first one that I played for a long, long time.
Yeah, so you just took a name and then added something silly after it. That's what
Yeah.
you do, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Colin, what was your first D&D character?
This is compelling content here.
It
Waiting
is.
for him to talk off
Mine
not
is
Mike.
Astrid.
Astrid?
Astrid Bellagio.
That sounds like a Harry Potter name or something like that.
Or Las Vegas.
Oh, the Bellagio.
Right?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Was she a wizard?
Yes, she was. Sorcerer.
Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah, she was an elf sorceress.
Yeah, first time sorceress.
Part-time.
Damn it.
Part-time.
Part-time sorceress.
First-time
So,
sorceress.
so the first time you played Dungeons & Dragons was in 2000? Is that what you were saying?
Around 2000, yeah.
How did you get introduced into it?
Well, it's kind of an embarrassing story,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I started playing because of the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I saw
that
the
might be the
movie
first
and
time I've
I
ever heard
really liked what I was seeing, and so back then we didn't have the Lord of the Rings like the movies. It was the first time I saw that, and I knew about the cartoon. I knew about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, and so I started researching. I went on my school, borrowed a computer, started searching on the internet, and I came up with it.
That's cool.
So what did you discover in your searching? Did you know
Well-
that Dungeons and Dragons was a game before you saw the movie?
I mean, I knew it was a game, but I didn't know anything about it. Like,
Yeah.
I knew the name, I knew the cartoon, and that was about it. Then when I started searching, I encountered a lot of, conflicting information. People saying, like, back then people said it was like a bad thing, and there were a lot of stories, a lot of cautionary tales,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, my mom listened to all those cautionary tales.
She probably wrote some of those.
She probably wrote some of them herself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I ended up on some forums on back then. I can't even remember what they were called, but I ended up on some forums where people were role playing, like play by post.
Right.
Yeah, and I started playing there, and then I met a few friends, and we started playing on on IM, like Messenger, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was it, because I lived in a very small town, and I didn't really have like people to play with until much later.
Where was the small town?
It was a small town called Rio Bravo. It's a town in the border with U.S. It's right next to a small town in U.S. called McAllen, Texas.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And there was not a local game store in that town?
Well, not in Rio Bravo, because it was very, very small again. But we used to be. I mean, we would go to the U.S. Shopping, and my parents would go to the mall, and I would ask that they would leave me on the comic store, just to look at all the books, only to look at them, because I couldn't buy them. Back then, they were like I think it was third edition. It was like just fresh
Yeah.
out. And then until much later, until I had saved enough to buy the player's handbook, I was like brave enough to ask some of my classmates to play. I don't think they got it, but I was having a blast. I was the dungeon master of the.
I did the same thing, true. When I had my friends and I knew I wanted to play, and we tried to. We actually didn't try with Dungeons and Dragons first. We tried with Middle Earth role playing because I loved all the Tolkien stories. So, yeah, there's a lot of laughs about how badly that first session went because I didn't know how to dungeon master at all.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Are you just making it up at this point?
I was pretty much just making it up. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you just get like I don't know. Back then, like I said, most of what I had was like found online. So when I started first DMing, I just took a bunch of, everything I could find online and like pasted it in a single adventure, and that was it.
Oh, that's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. Did your players get to any of that stuff?
More or less. I mean, they were mostly like very confused about the whole thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I mean, we had a good time, but I don't think they got like really, really into it. They were more like in the, in the moment of the sharing the space, the telling the story, having fun. So I kind of, ended up scrapping most of it. And then I just, ended up throwing monsters at them because that was what they enjoyed.
They wanted.
Yeah.
They just wanted to fight things.
Yeah.
So you were a dungeon master, and you didn't even have the dungeon master's guide. You only had the player's handbook.
No, yeah. Well, for the first, I don't know, 6 months, and then after that, I bought the dungeon master guide. Yeah.
Did you think that that helped? Did you get like more insight into how to make it work?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing I liked the most, and this was like back in third edition. What I was doing was mostly taking stuff from other fiction and everything else and just pasting it into custom world. And the Dungeon Master guide really gave me that, like, a guide on how to do that, a structure. And that's when I actually started learning how to do that.
That's pretty
really
cool. Yeah. What did you ever play with that group again, or did they, how did you like continue playing?
No, well, actually, that group, I mean, like I said, we mostly played like, I don't know, like 5 sessions in total. And then we ended up, we finished high school and that was it. Mm-hmm. I continued playing because actually that was not the first time I played. The first time I played was online, like I said, on IM. Mm-hmm. And my friend Omi, who I still play with today, he actually started DMing a game online for us. Like, I can't remember. I think at first it was like every day. Like, we were really hardcore on that game.
Wow. Every day?
You played every day? In person, or was this still online?
No, that was on IM. Everything on like text, and when we could, we did voice, but mostly text. And we played, like, he had the whole thing. He had the books, and I when I ended up buying the books, we would refer to the books, and then have those discussions that you have at the table, like. That's not how this works. Look at the page number, whatever.
Oh,
it's yeah.
So you were like rules lawyering over IM still.
Yeah.
Now, was this the dungeon master that told you couldn't name your character Mario?
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah. So So we continued playing for a long time, like well into, I think it was until I started college. Actually, when he started college, because he's 1 year older. So when he started college, we kind of just stopped, and our priorities changed. And the online group kind of fell apart, but we reconnected like a few years later, doing a podcast online, and that was like around 3 years ago, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, we reconnected long before that, but we started doing the podcast 3 years ago. And shortly after the podcast, I said, I mean, we're already doing this. What do you guys think about playing Dungeons and Dragons? He and his wife, Maluka, were my first players in this game. And then we had another 2 friends, Cosmo and Gil, join us. And that game is still going today.
That's awesome. So you reconnected with the guy that you first played with.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, we hear about that a lot, about how people like kind of, get their gaming group together when they were kids and then like lose touch over time because everybody does because of, as you said, college or creating a family or just moving away to different areas, right? And then like being able to get back together with them is like, it's almost like a high school reunion, but with none of the baggage that comes with a high school reunion.
Yeah, yeah. And you actually like glad to know and eager to know what's going on, like what games you played, what have you been going, you actually have things to talk about,
right? And it makes the games that much even better, right? Because you have so much life experience you can bring to role playing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's given us like a space to actually reconnect and keep doing it week after week, so it's really great.
Do you find that there's like a different style or feel to playing with people who speak? Because I assume you guys play in Espanol, right? Is that
yeah. We play in Spanish.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there a different? I know I took 4 years. I'm very very well versed. I know La Playa is beach. So is there a different style when you're playing in a different language? I'm just really fascinated by that.
Ooh, well, I think there is, mostly because, and this mainly applies to the way we play in Mexico and Latin America, I think, because we end up using a lot of the English terminology for everything, because that is what we have. We have the English books, and translations, they're not really much of a thing here, at least not yet, because they're mostly made for Spain, and when we play, we use the English book, so it's easier to just refer to everything in English, so that everyone knows what we're talking about, right? So it ends up being this kind of mix of Spanglish and stuff like that, and I mostly try, and that is like a personal thing that I've been trying lately. I definitely wasn't used to this before. I tried to like introduce and use most of a lot of Spanish things and Spanish names and Spanish sounding words in fiction. Mostly because I'm used of playing that way. Mostly, especially because I grew up in the border, so everything was just really easy, with language. But I know not everyone is like that, and now that we have an audience and we have like people watching, I don't want people to feel like alienated because they don't know a word or a term or something. But it's kind of, at the same time, it's kind of difficult because if we say a name for something like a translation for, I don't know, AC, which is armor class, and we use like a clase de armadura, which is the word in Spanish, and then like maybe that's not the exact word they use on the player's handbook translation by Gale Force 9, and maybe they I don't know, they get confused. So I don't know, it's a complicated matter.
It is hard because I think we've been talking about this with Hillary Ross, who does a lot of the licensing for the translations and stuff. But like, there's this contention of like translating names, like Red March, for example, is a town, right? And that those words, Red and March, can be translated, and then you put them together. But is that the same as the town of Red March?
Right.
Like, right? So there's. What works with Dungeons & Dragons is this through line of terminology, as you're talking about. So then when you mix up the terminology, there's no longer that through line. Yeah.
We actually experienced this with. I'm currently, I'm going to be playing a game with another streamer who is in Spain, and they do have the translations there, and he's using most of the stuff as it is named in the books over there.
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned Aguas Profundas once, which is water deep. And I've always done. I've always known it by Waterdeep. So at first I was like, "What are you talking about? What is that?"
Wait, what is it? What is it?
Really interesting.
What is it translated?
It's Aguas Profundas. Basically deep waters.
Deep waters.
God.
Oh, okay. Profundas meaning deep. Oh my gosh,
Deep.
I was trying to think how is profound part of it? Oh,
Yeah.
Deep, profound.
yeah, exactly.
Deep waters.
That's funny. So they they translate that in the in that's so nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think so. He's using that. I assume that's that's because he's using it, or I don't know if he's translating it on his own.
Or just because that's right,
Yeah.
and that's what makes it so difficult is that
Yeah.
one group might do that, and we're always like, oh,
Yeah.
whatever at your group, at your table matters. But then when you try to join other groups, there might be this confusion.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So what is who? Because it seems like your podcast has grown a lot, and you haven't been doing it that long. You said this has only been a few years.
Well, it's actually in April. We're gonna be for 2 years.
Okay.
We started in April 2016.
So
This is you streaming the play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who is your audience? Who are were you surprised that the audience that you had such a large audience so quickly? Like these people obviously have been sitting around waiting for somebody to play D&D and
Yeah. I was surprised. Well, half and half. I was half surprised because I didn't think there was like I didn't think that what we were doing was something new, and it wasn't. I mean, it's for a while there were like like there were Critical Role like giants, Critical Role in role play, and people. I was like, why am I gonna do that? They're already doing it. I'm not sure if I should do it. But then I realized that that content isn't in Spanish, and maybe maybe they want to listen to it in Spanish. And I have gotten so much from those from that kind of show, from Critical Role and role play, from what you guys do, that I was like, well, I should do something so that if people want to listen to it in Spanish, so they can enjoy it without the language barrier. And it has been like a steady growth. It hasn't like exploded overnight, but it's getting a pretty good response, and the community has been awesome. They have been very supportive and great. They're spamming emotes in chat right now.
oh.
Yeah, so
That's awesome. I find that really fascinating. I want more people from across the world to play in their native language. I think it's I don't know, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm really fascinated about like how the translation thing changes it, but then because it's also such a part of D&D play too. Like, what language do you speak? Oh, I don't know Goblin, so I can't interrogate this Goblin, or like that there's like that's such a part of D&D play that like I'm excited to see that happening in real life too.
Yeah, and you end up like I have gone to it's been a while, but I have gone to cons in the U.S. and everyone I've seen people like from different languages come together and just do whatever they can to communicate and play D&D, and it's really, really easy. I mean, everyone can like identify the terms. Everyone knows what AC is. Everyone knows what HP is. Everyone knows what the sides on the die are the same.
Yeah.
And if people don't speak the same language, they can just say like, well, you speak Elvish, you speak Orcish, and it's not a problem. Do whatever you can to communicate.
Yeah, that's neat. Cool. So I'm kudos to you guys for jumping in and having it be the language that you guys would speak around the table, organically.
Did you see more? Are there more groups now live streaming in Spanish now?
Yeah, I mean, when we started, there wasn't there wasn't anything, and we actually started like playing on the same time slot of Critical Role at some point, because at that point the Dungeons and Dragons category was like so high, and but there were no Spanish channels, and for a while it was just like Critical Role with 20,000 viewers, and then us with like 60, and that was like yeah. So it was great because we were the second channel. I mean, the difference was like really high, but it was pretty good. But now you see more groups started doing it, and I'm glad because I'm finding new people to collaborate with, and it's great.
So, do you think you guys do you as the DM, because you're the DM, do you bring in because obviously Dungeons and Dragons has a lot of like Arthurian legend in its bones, and Tolkien and all those like very English myths. Do you find that you work in a lot of cultures and different stories and myths from where you're from?
Yeah. Actually, the game I DM because we currently have another game DM by my friend Gil. He's taking us through Barovia.
Uh-huh.
But that is another game, and the game that I DM is a homebrew world based on Aztec, Maya, and Inca mythologies.
Oh, cool.
It started in a very specific land that was very, it was a lot like Chult. It was like this, savage land that PCs were there to conquer. But then it started to, move to other places. But the cosmology and everything that revolves around the world is very, evocative of those that folklore, of that culture.
Yeah.
Mostly cosmology thing like the Mayas were a lot into balance and into the four cardinal directions, stuff like that. I made the planes into something that made sense for Maya cosmology. I incorporated the entire, the cyclical nature of the world of the Aztecs, that the world is going to end eventually and you have to restart, stuff like that.
That's really neat.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I want to play in that world now.
Should write that up and
Did
put that on
you-
the Dungeon Master.
Well, and now that you're mentioning Maya, you totally should put that. There was. Did you see that recent story that there was a newly found city?
Yeah, that's crazy.
that
know.
sounds like a D&D adventure.
The first thing I thought of was I want to get the map of that city and like use it like
Yeah.
somehow, right? Because
Yeah.
they were finding out all the streets and buildings and stuff. I was like, oh man, how cool would it be to actually be set like just even if it's a one shot like in that city.
Yeah, and no one actually knows it because it's new. So you would be like, "Hey, here's this thing that I totally made up."
But it's there.
Recently discovered.
You just dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a cool way to do it. Actually, be like you are an archaeologist sent there, and then like you get transported into there, like you time travel or whatever, to be like, oh, you're there now.
Yeah, one of the games that I have planned for the future, like not right now, because I kind of want to eventually push the setting to a more modern time. And one of them was like one of the ideas I have for a game is very inspired by the discovery of that ruin, because it's crazy. I mean, where was that ruin? We have satellites everywhere. How did they see it? It's magic, you know.
It is like magic. You're right. Yeah. Gosh, there's so much to mine there for storytelling.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So much to dig up.
Oh, that's really good.
So do you guys feel? I guess I mean I know you said you guys were when you were playing first, you were playing like mostly with monsters and when you were kids and stuff like that. Is it more expressive now, or you got more into the story and the role play more than you are in combat? Like, yeah, how does that work?
Well, it's kind of a balance because we are role playing for an audience, right? So we have to have like enough action for the people to, get remain interested and be thrilled about what's happening. Have stakes and stuff like that. But it also needs to be very role playing focused at the same time because people want to care about the characters.
Yeah.
I mostly prefer, like myself, personal preference. I think I like the role play aspect a lot. But then we end up with this this lulls in the story that both as a dungeon master and as a producer, I say like, well, something needs to happen. I need to break this. You guys are taking too much time talking about these rocks. So, it's like,
I don't know any D&D players like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've been so far doing. We've had like a number of games, and this currently the two games that we have are both D&D 5e, and they're both more or less the same balance of role play and combat and mechanics. But we used to have like other games more role play focused, and people liked it. So I in the future I think we may go for a more narrative style game.
Nice.
So that's interesting what you were saying about when you're playing for an or you're role playing for an audience.
Yeah.
So as the dungeon master, does that feel mostly like your responsibility to keep in mind that there's an audience and that you're the one who has to move that story along and find that balance, or do the players share that with you?
I think I have. Well, the players are just awesome. I mean, the players they're very aware of the space they're in, and I mean, my friend Omi again, he knows, he very specifically knows he's like playing for an audience and tries like to deliberately do like push the story forward
Yeah.
and tries to make take risks and stuff like that, and it also like fits into his character, and he tries to increase it a little bit. So in that regard, I don't think I have well, at least recently in the last year maybe, I don't think I've had to really move the story along or cut a scene short or something like that.
Because it's happening? Because it's
Because
organically
it's happening.
Okay.
Yeah. And I play, weekends I play with subs in the channel, and that is a more relaxed type of game because we're not really, I mean, we're actually playing for the subs, playing to have fun, and I don't like to push them around, you need to hurry up or whatever. Sometimes it happens. I mean, if we only have like 4 hours to play, I mean, I usually end up doing a lot of montages. Like if they take too long on a scene, then I'm I say we fade out and you're like 6 hours later because I mean you took too long to do this thing, so we need to move along.
It's a good tactic.
But yeah. Yeah, but I haven't had to do it in a long time. Yeah.
They've gotten better at it.
Yeah, they've gotten better. I've gotten better at it too. Yeah.
And it's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting to think like that the way that players or DMs role play in front of an audience is different than how like we would just be playing at home, but it shouldn't.
Totally.
But it shouldn't, like everything you're saying like would be great if it happened in your D&D game. Like your character, you were like invested in your character and invested in the story and like doing things to like move that story forward, and like there should be, I feel like you could learn a lot about role playing and DMing by talking to somebody who DMs for an audience. Like these are best practices that everybody could employ in their games.
I sometimes wish that people, are playing, at conventions or things like that. Think about it from how would this look to an outsider looking in right now? Because of this reason, like, there's going to be a lot of downtime, a lot of like cyclical arguments. That's my favorite thing when people are like, we're just arguing about the same thing for the last 15 minutes.
I've had games like that where it's like, we've been here for an hour. I don't feel like nothing happened this session.
Right.
We didn't find anything. We didn't talk to anyone. We didn't fight anything. What have we done?
We ate snacks.
And you could not do that if this was if you had an audience. You would certainly be like, oh man, we got to pick this up.
You wouldn't have an audience.
You'd be like,
if you
fade out and scene.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
That's a really weird way to look at it.
Yeah, you become very aware, and you end up trying to, the way I do it as a DM, and if anyone's listening that is interested in doing that, I'm sure a lot of people who produce shows for this channel know this, but I mean, it's mostly about vignettes, It's like we're going to do like a small scene, and the focus of this scene, I mean, we need to accomplish this in this scene. If this is not accomplished in whatever, number of whatever time, we move on to the next scene and stuff like that. But, when you're playing with, offline, I don't know another word, but like when you're playing like privately with friends, one thing that always I think gets bogged down is like combat. I think people end up like not knowing what to do in their turn, and they're like it's your turn, and then let me look at my spells, and or someone was on the phone or something like that. And that can't happen on the shows, because it's like we usually end up with a very short time, and people know that, it's your turn. You need to know what to do. You need to know what you want to accomplish with your turn, how your abilities work, stuff like that.
Right, because it's the worst thing in the world when you're like, oh, let me just look this up for
Yeah,
15
I don't do
minutes.
that.
And yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I don't do that. I usually just make a ruling on the spot, like, this is how this is gonna work for this session, and then if we look it up, and it turns out it works differently later, then we're gonna use it differently later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to stop everything to look at something.
That's smart.
So, were your players? Did they have a lot of experience playing D&D, or were any of them apprehensive? Like, I don't know enough. I don't want to be on camera, like I would be.
Well, let me think. Most of them had already played before. Well, like I said, my friend Omi was, he was my first DM, so
Yeah.
he knew. But his wife, Maluka, that was the first time she played.
What?
And
On camera?
Yeah, on camera, yeah.
Wow,
And-
good for her.
Yeah, I mean she I mean she knows how to be on camera because she has a YouTube channel and she does stuff for Twitch and YouTube, but still it was like it was a process, it was I wasn't like the things I was saying before, like you should know whatever. I wasn't like that with her at first, like
Yeah.
it was the first time.
I actually
Get
like
ease
the
into
idea of it being a new player as an audience member to see like how
Yeah.
they pick things up.
Right.
They probably have the same questions a new player would
Yeah.
have. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and well, I mean we've had a few guests on the shows that is the first time they've played, and I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but we also had a lot of subs in the channel that show up for the sub games, and then they it's the first time they've played.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, I meet up with them one day before, and I explain everything about the world. I explain how things work in with the character sheet and everything. I help them make a character, and then the next day we play. And like I said, that is a more relaxed version of the shows that we do. We also stream it, but it's kind of more relaxed. We have more time because it's on Sundays, so we have like the entire afternoon, as opposed to the shows where we have a very specific 3.5 hours to do what we need to do.
So how did? Yeah, I'm curious to see like how that fan, started watching you guys play, and then it was like, oh, I'm a sub, I want to participate and play in this game, and then I don't know. I think it's just really cool that you're doing that because you're bringing people in to it being a forum where you can talk in your own language and play the game that you want to play in your own language. And then also these people might not, like you said, they might have come from a small town or something like that they may not know how to jump in and start playing. And do you feel that like, this is happening more and more? Like is this a thing that's happening more in Mexico and Latin America, or is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's happening a lot more. I mean, there has always been a community in, as far as I can remember on the internet. I mean, that's where I learned how to play, right? But it's gotten to the point where people are actually starting to look for, to participate in stuff like that, and started to try to, because I'm gonna ramble a little bit because I have seen a lot of I have seen a lot of games where they do this. We're gonna play, on voice chat, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna play with voice, and we're gonna, like we did back in 2000. And I'm starting to notice more people doing the webcam and streaming thing, because it's becoming more common, and I think it adds a world of difference because when we play with the subs on Sunday, I usually ask that, like, at the bare minimum, I think you need to have like a camera and a somewhat decent mic, because I think the camera is very important. It like humanizes the whole thing. It's very different. You feel very different when you're aware that people can see your face and your expressions and the way you move your hands. And yeah, it makes it like, I think it just erases like the barrier of the screen, and it becomes like this face-to-face thing. I think it's it's not the same as playing at the table because, I mean, let's be honest, it's not.
Yeah.
But
it's close.
It's very close. Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very close.
I mean, even just we just recently upgraded and have the video of the person we're talking to for
Yes.
Dragon Talk.
Yeah.
So nice.
And it's totally different, you know.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
used to have to imagine what they were saying in our
Yeah.
heads, and no one does that.
Yeah.
People hate imagining things, right?
In your own head.
In your own head,
What?
dragons and magic. No one imagines that stuff.
Theater of the what?
Well, that's yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing. It's like, and we recently found out here at Dungeons and Dragons that people, for the first time, have gone into the game more often from watching people like you play and wanting to jump in than from someone in their hometown being like, oh, hey, do you want to play this game? Like the way that you got your friends to play, is happening less often now than people who are watching you or Critical Role or us on this channel playing Dungeons and Dragons and wanting to jump in that way. So like, not only is the online games that you're talking about, allowing people to call in from different areas and letting people connect when they might not be able to connect, but then they're also like, oh, that's how they're discovering the game way
Yep.
more these days, which is insane for Luddites to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. It's like, I mean, without the internet, without the possibility of playing online, I wouldn't have gotten, to this point, because I mean, there was no way that I would have gotten into Dungeons and Dragons if it wasn't because of, the internet and communities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I would go to the comic shop, but that was like much later, after I had already made a few friends and started playing online.
Yeah.
Because that just wasn't a thing where I live. And yeah, it was like very difficult to find people interested.
Right. And then here we are,
Yeah.
18 years later.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Wow,
like-
no, it's hard to believe it was that long ago. When wow.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's been 18 years since third edition.
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
a long time.
It is crazy. Well, we've been talking about your channel and what you do there. How can people find out about what you do, both like on Twitter and what's your give us all of your deets.
Yeah. Oh, you can find me pretty much everywhere as Elwarius. Elwarius, that would be in English. Everything I do is in Spanish. I also speak English and I understand. So if you want to communicate, that's fine. But all my content is in Spanish. So if you speak Spanish and want to join the community, you're welcome. If you don't and also want to join the community, you're also welcome. So. Yeah.
Very cool. And it's the Elwarius is the Twitch channel as well.
Yeah, everywhere.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, makes sense. This is something I just popped into my brain.
What?
Was like, I mean, I mentioned I took Spanish, and I feel like I would have learned a lot more Spanish if I was watching people play Dungeons and Dragons in Spanish when I was in school.
You're invited if you want to watch
Well, yeah, it's
sometime.
not too
Yeah.
late.
No, I mean, I have watched a bit of your channel and been like, huh. And I didn't delve into it like with my notebook and my vocab
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
open. But if I did that, if that was like, man, Spanish teachers out there and make this a thing.
Yeah.
I know
I'm gonna-
people who have learned
Yeah.
English from like songs or movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they have like a friend of mine is from Italy, and he said he learned English from the Beastie Boys.
Oh.
He learned an interesting
So
vocabulary
he
for
only,
sure.
he only speaks in rhymes, or he's like,
Yeah, it's weird.
don't do that, boom, ba, da.
That's how I learned. I mean, it's mostly fiction, video games, movies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's how most of we learn, I think.
Right. So
Most of us.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for calling in. It was always great to hear people from different perspectives, and
Yeah.
I hope the channel keeps growing, and we'll have you on again and get more insight. When's the next storyline starting up for you guys?
We're starting. I mean, we're currently this week we're playing the game that I was talking about, the homebrew game.
Yeah.
With the Mesoamerican culture. And next week we're going to be playing Curse of Strahd. So we kind of alternate between the two games week after week.
Sweet.
We play on Thursdays.
Thursday nights.
Thursday nights. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yep.
Well,
Thanks for
again.
having me.
Thanks for coming on, Mario.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you again soon.
Oh, talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye. That was amazing.
Yes.
I feel like I know so much more about I don't know, everything.
I feel like I'm going to name my next D&D character Mario in his honor.
You should. Mario
Really
Two
bothered
Shoes.
me that he wasn't allowed to have a character.
I didn't even tell. My brother's name is Mario.
Really?
Yeah.
Mario Tito?
Mario Tito.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. So that's it's a tribute to him. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll name it.
That's why.
Mario Two Shoes is
Yeah.
going to be your
Maybe I have another brother somewhere.
That's what I'll play. I'll play Mario Two
Yes.
Shoes. As he comes, but he's evil. He's got like a mustache that is.
Yes, he's an evil Siamese tabaxi.
He can sing that song and everything. That's so cool.
Yes.
I love it.
That was really fun, though.
Yeah. I'm excited to learn more
love
about other different cultures and how they
Yep.
play, and it's like a brave new world for me. I haven't really done that before.
And now I am curious how much I would, in my 47 years of Spanish, that's what it feels like. It was really like
Wait,
8.
are you 47 years old?
No. It was like in a past life.
Oh, I
and
see.
Carried over into this life. But I would wonder how much I would pick up from his game.
Yeah,
Weren't we just speaking Spanish on the last?
we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we knew I got some
foreshadowing.
vocab, but that's about it. Like
Yeah.
I don't have like the full understanding, and I feel like
La ropa.
if I started to listen and pay attention way more, I would have
I
more of
wonder.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can do it. I think all of you high school students out there taking Spanish,
Good.
it's a way to jump in.
Yep.
Faux show.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. So, is there any other fun stuff you want to talk about before we sign off? Because we got, we mentioned Morning Canaan's Tome of Foes. It's coming. Oh, I was going to ask him if he was excited about that, but no. When we call him up again, we'll ask him more about
Yes.
that.
He'll have seen it, so he'll know.
Exactly. By the time you listen to this, it'll already have happened. But Neverwinter: Lost City of Omu is out on PC. You can jump into that. It's the end of that whole Tomb of
Yeah.
Annihilation storyline in Neverwinter. That is super cool stuff. And we appreciate everybody who jumps into Twitch and subscribes. Thank you, everyone, for doing that. You are good folks. And now I feel put to shame by
know.
by Mario having his
does
sub games. Maybe
a
we should start doing that. Do you want to run a sub game for folks?
I do not.
Shelly's going to do it. All right, so that's a yes.
Yeah. But rocks falling, y'all die. Well,
Wait, we didn't even say where we're
I'm
from yet.
sorry.
You just were like cutting and running.
that was my game.
That was your game.
Yeah.
Everybody.
We don't even have our rocks.
I know. I'll have
there.
to knock over your
My water,
your water
all the
bottle.
cords and wires. I'll put the lid on real tight here.
Yeah, nice. D&D Beyond is always doing awesome stuff. You guys should check out and make your new character Mario Two Shoes in D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
It's just that
Actually
simple.
has a really good ring to it.
Yeah, it really does.
It does.
Yeah, I think now I want to play it like for sure now. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get rid of that other halfling
Yep.
urban bounty hunter guy and
It's all right.
jump right into
Mario.
Mario Two Shoes. We got like 3 rangers in that group, so I don't think we need more rangers.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. But as I was saying, D&D Beyond has got amazing stuff in it for making new characters. Unearthed Arcana characters are available to play in there a week after it's released on the website. Did you know that, Shelley?
Yes, because I learned that from Dragon Talk.
It's good stuff. All the stuff you learned from Dragon Talk, isn't it?
Yep. Filling up my brain pan.
Yes. And there is a lot of fun stuff coming for a mobile app
Isn't there a...
in D&D Beyond. I don't know if
Oh.
people know about that, but there is a
What?
mobile app coming down the pipe very soon.
Seriously?
Yeah. So no longer, we'll give tons of information about that very soon, and you'll get it.
Dragon Plus?
It will be here on this Dragon Talk here program.
Do you got
I think
anything new for Dragon Plus?
It is coming out very soon.
I know. I expect a push notification.
Yeah, actually, it is coming out today as we're recording
Oh.
this. But as you're going to be listening to this in March, it will already be out. So download Dragon Plus now. It is an app that gets you all the fun stuff that's going on in the Dungeons and Dragons world. Tons of articles, interviews, maps of the week, as well as
Cool covers.
Cool covers, artwork you can't get anywhere else.
Nice.
It's good stuff.
It is.
Go check it out.
Yes.
It's on Android, on iOS, and available on the web at dragonmag.com.
Amazing.
Where can people find out about Axis and Allies and Zombies?
You, right here in our office. That's pretty much
only place.
on Scott Van Essen's computer.
He's got all the files.
He's got all the files. Well, you should follow Avalon Hill on social media, on Facebook at Avalon Hill Games or on Twitter at Avalon Hill 2, as in the number 2. Number 2.
Number 2.
And you can follow me on Twitter at ShellyMoo, and I'll tell you all the good things about zombies.
That's right.
We didn't save the world.
No. There's lots of zombies taking over.
Scott walked by our board today, and he goes, "Oh my God. Like, the game is over, you guys. Like, I'm still trying to do my turn." I'm like,
He's like, why are you even doing this?
oh.
Yeah. You're clearly,
He's like, "You guys count up
yeah.
how many
can't
territories
wait.
were zombies." Yeah, it was fun.
You guys can follow me. I'm at Greg Tito on the Twitters.
That's clever.
I'm also at Instagram, Greg_Tito. I posted a lot of pictures
From your vacay.
from my trip to the San Juan Islands, so go check that out if you can. I'll be doing lots more of Dungeons & Dragons stuff here in the office now that I'm back.
Well, good.
It'll be fun.
about
Go follow me
time.
there. And if you, as always, you want to find out about D&D, go to dungeonsanddragons.com or follow us on wizards_DND.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the fun stuff. I believe rocks fall, everybody dies.
That was a boulder.
That was a